Against body, the physical play will start on the first shift.
Line picked up by Kuchnevich, Kyrou, Kurenko shoots, it's a pass, and it's in the net!
It's a 2-on-1 down low, and Derek Lalonde talked about it's up, and now the coverage gets lost. It's a 2-on-1 down low, and nobody comes back. The St. Louis Blues and Hunter Hell.
Zone, here comes Matthew Joseph, shooting, and he scores!
Action to this one. I don't think that hit a stick or a skate. Morris short leash for a Vezina Trophy winner, but you see the low to get back. That's just clean in short side.
All right. No Morrissey to start off to play it. Puck stolen, some considering pass. Hellbeck, a great save. Here's Kyle Connor. He surveys, feeds elbow. Perfetti, score!
Perfetti angles the stick, makes sure he elevates it, and it's up.
Nathan Walker, 3-on-2 for St. Louis. Backs out, waits, shoots, scores!
It ends up. That's a little 3-on-2. Wow, that's close to offside. And here comes Luke Shen across. Scott talked about his consistent goal scoring.
Perfetti to the middle. Ehlers shoots. Binnington moved around by the Jets. Nemestikov shooting. They score!
Nemestikov, that's going to go right through. Done. Throw it, and there it is. And you can see.
Misfires, passes across the shot. They score! 1.6 seconds left. Cole Perfetti has done it again.
Remember his chip in on the power play? Again, go. Jets all around it, and there's Binnington. And what a play by Cole Perfetti.
There is absolutely nothing like the Stanley Cup playoffs. Removes him. Here's a chance! Hellebuck! A terrific save!
Jets get all caught up. And
point. Fleury shoots! Binnington to save! There's a scramble, but Binnington has it from him. Nemestikov sends Nikolai Ehlers in. Ehlers in. Binnington! Pion shoots. Tip. They score! Game over!
Who played over 45 minutes in this game. A double deflection and the net. And a wrist shot. A little wrist shot from the point position. And there it is.
How would you describe the rally and the result your team showed?
Amazing. Absolutely amazing. It was, I've seen a lot of hockey games, been around a lot of hockey games. To be a part of that was one of the most exciting games I've been a part of. And man, it was thrilling. You know, we were extremely nervous to start the game. Got down quickly, but just our resolve, just our ability to stay in it. Pretty much that's all I kept preaching. Just hang in there, hang in there. We watched it last night with Colorado and Dallas, them staying in it, and it was stay into it, keep doing what we do, and we got stronger as the game went on. We got out of that first period, and then you know what? After that, you know it was a battle, and you know to tie that game up at the end, that's you know it was amazing, exciting. It was just I would think anybody watching that one will leave that one in their memory banks for a long time.
Monty,
It's almost tougher to draw up a worse start to an amazing Game 7 than what you guys got. So is it just a question of
You're being Debbie Downer here, like.
I'm not even trying to land there.
No, I know. Well, you know what? Honestly, it reminded me of the first period in Game 1. The nerves. It seemed like nobody wanted to make a play. We got rid of pucks really quickly. We actually sat back, kind of allowed them. I mean, even on the first goal, they came down. They skated 200 feet. Came down the ice to make that play, and it was kind of us on our heels, and that was pretty much a message. And it was the message from our leaders. It was a message for me, like, let's go here. Let's get up on our toes. Let's get in attack mode. We're no good sitting back, and that's not us. And we just did a great job of, turning the tide and getting back to playing the way we can.
Yeah, I wanted to ask kind of about the message. Is it just one of those cases where as long as there's time on the clock, it's...
Yeah. There's 40 minutes to go, and we hadn't even started to go yet. The biggest thing for me is that we got, we did a really good job of our forecheck, and we got hunting in that second period, and, we created turnovers, and that first 10 minutes of that second period, that was us. That was us playing our game, and It took a while. That power play goal was huge. Obviously got the building ignited again. Not that they weren't, but it really got them into it. And then once it was 2-1, it was just, man, we had some opportunities to tie that up long before we went 6-on-5. But just like the way that there was no quit. And you know what, man, I gotta shout out to our defense. Those 5 guys, the workload that they had to throw in there. They did a great job. And then obviously, you guys stepping up and having to play big roles. And it was a awesome effort by everybody.
Monty had commented on the chess match that he felt had gone back and forth between the 2 coaching staffs, and I just wanted to. I feel like we saw a lot of it throughout that series.
Oh yeah,
what was it like from your perspective?
There was a lot. You're going to make adjustments. You're going to have to do things because the opposition's maybe making some changes. You don't want to get away from your identity and a lot of the things you do, but it does happen. I think you talk to any coaches after a series is over, you have to make changes, and we had to along the way. They had to. That was as heavy a series as I've seen in a long time. There was no ice that wasn't contested, and no player that wasn't going to get knocked into the wall. It was, St. Louis. That was what they've done the last 3 months, and these 7 games. That was a tough out. That was a really tough out, and you know what? They made us battle for every inch, and I tip my hat to Monty, what he's done since he's got there. They without a doubt were one of the best teams in the league there since 4 Nations, and they're hard to play against. And I really not happy that they're in the Central Division, but that's our division, and I can't credit Monty enough. As we said there, we made adjustments, and then all of a sudden it was that chess match. They did something, and we had to try to find the answer to that, and that's what it was the whole series. And you know what? 2 buildings. Our building obviously was absolutely amazing. Absolutely how loud it was. It was loud in St. Louis as well, but that was one for the ages.
As a coach, seeing the evolution of Cole Perfetti as the season went on, even the year before, and then for him to be the hero there with the dying seconds left, I know it's a big goal, but just to take a second and kind of take a step back and look at how big that is for Cole and just
he's never really had a chance to be in this, and I think that like I mentioned a couple of weeks ago there, 2 seasons he was out, didn't get to play in the heavy hockey at the second half of the year and in the playoffs, and obviously last year didn't get as much of an opportunity, but I think he was one of our best forwards in this whole series, both rinks in both buildings. He had a number of opportunities, and him scoring the other night in St. Louis was big. And he had to kind of finally went in, and now to get those 2 big ones tonight, and he had a few more chances, and that's the evolution that you want from your young players, and he's grown so much this year, and for a guy who doesn't have a lot of experience at this time of year, I really like how he's handled this first round in a very, very heavy series.
Scott, 2-parter about your blue line. First, how impressed were you by the heavy minutes that your 5D logged after Josh went out, and secondarily to that, early assessment on first look for your number 1 defenseman?
Yeah, let's just see. Well, we wait and see till tomorrow. We're gonna find out after we get through all this craziness here. See where everybody's at tomorrow. We'll kind of do a roll call and check on him. Right now, it's just obviously he couldn't play the rest of the game, so we'll just kind of move forward with him and with everybody else. But like I mentioned earlier, what a yeoman's effort by our defense. Hayden Fleury having to come in and play, and he was, he did a fantastic job. But everybody, all 5 of those guys, they had a different partner every shift because of the rotation, and just having to not only defend, but they had to, be a part of our offense. And, we didn't get much offense down in game 6 down there. And I thought tonight that, we had that zone time, and it centered a lot around our defense and the plays that they made. And obviously the winning goal, P getting that puck to the net front there and Lau getting a piece of it. So, when those guys have to play those heavy minutes like that, it was special. And that's guys stepping up, and that's what we needed.
So you get over those nerves, you have a pretty good second, you find your game, but then their 3rd goal. How do you bounce back from that?
Stay in it. It's never over till it's over, right? I mean, it was, honestly, it wasn't like we were getting outplayed, and they got the 3rd goal. We were you could hear it on the bench. You could hear it in the room. It was guys saying, just stay with it, keep with it. We're getting opportunities. We're getting momentum shifts, one right after the other. And we just hung in there. And, obviously it went right down to the last second. But at the end of the day, those just our group to be able to hang in there. And that's what the playoffs are all about.
Josh today, Mark earlier, how much did they take out of you?
They took a lot out of us, obviously. Not having either one of those guys for most of that game is huge. And any team, any coach would tell you that when you lose those type of players. But just, again, it was game 5 here when we lost Scheif. And all those centermen had to step up, and our forwards the forward group had to step up. Well, tonight it was our defensive group that stepped up, and can't speak enough about how great they were.
Scott, how would you describe the series Kyle Connor had? 2 game winners, set up the 2 others, especially with Mark being up.
Best players got to be your best players. And you know what? He had a lot of chances. Even tonight he had some looks, and that's what you need. You need those guys to go to those tough areas. I mean, he's been through this before. He's had experience in the playoffs, and those are the type of guys that, you need to step up. And, he did that for us in this series, scored some huge goals for us.
Just quick, for a team that had, perceived to have a mental block when it came to the playoffs over the last couple of years, how important can a win like that go as far as kind of slaying that dragon?
Yeah, the hardest thing in the NHL is to win the first round. It really is. You build confidence as you can, but it's so hard to get through that first round. There's a lot of doubt at times. There's obviously lots of excitement. But for our group, just for me, in the sense of being here in just the 3 years, to lose in those first rounds, those were heartbreaking. And last year, obviously with the season we had, to do it this year, we didn't want to go out. We didn't want to. And that was one of the messages I sent to these guys, that bring your best game forward, and have no regrets. And that's what it was all about. And that's what I thought that. After we got through the first, that's what happened. Everybody, nobody wanted to be done. Nobody wanted to be done playing this year, and that was special.